Hello, everybody, and I want to welcome you all to today's 2025 Norwood Council interview of Sue DeBiasa. Sue, good morning.
Good morning, Paul.
How's
How are you?
everything? Good, good. How's everything in your part of town?
Excellent.
Excellent. All right, all right. So let's jump into it here. Decent amount of ground to cover potentially. And ask, I guess, the most instinctive question. Why are you doing this and what motivates you?
That's a great question. I ask myself that often. And in fact, my mother asks me that often too, because growing up in the family that I did, as you know, my dad was Gus Derricolle. It was it's tough. It's a tough business, and I kind of stayed out of it for a while, but I felt it was time. Um, The precipitating factor, if you will, was the development of the Bank of America property. When I heard about that, it just kind of pulled me off of the sidelines. I didn't feel that the residents were given enough notice about it. I don't believe their input was taken into consideration. I felt that it was passed very quickly. There wasn't even discussion about the design. I don't think the design fits for that plot. So that's really what pushed me to do it. But I had been discussing it over the years. I came close, but never kind of jumped over the line. So I felt like I had the time to dedicate. My kids are older now. I work from home. I think that my intentions are in the right place now. And I just felt like it's time. It's time for a fresh set of eyes, maybe new thoughts and ideas. So I threw my hat into the ring.
Okay, okay. And I think you've sort of alluded to this answer, but I'll ask it anyway for those that don't know. Where did you grow up and attend elementary school and high school?
I grew up in Norwood. I was born here. I was raised here. I attended Norwood Public School and Altapan. I left briefly to go to college. I came back and I got married. My husband, Ray, is from Northvale. He's also a local guy. In fact, funny story, his father, Ray Sr., framed my parents' house
Okay.
in 1957, I want to say. And that's where my mom still lives today. So I am a about as as original as they come in the town of Norwood.
Okay, okay. Now, got to revise this one a little bit. What, if anything, did you take away from growing up here and how things worked here as you were growing up that you see applicable to Norwood today and how you would represent it on the dais?
So obviously the town has changed. I mean, that goes without saying. When I grew up here, and I'm going to give you my age, I'm 55, so 55 years ago, it was very different. It did look kind of similar. I mean, the school still looks the same.
Okay,
Um, even downtown Norwood to some degree, obviously we've had a little bit of a refresh down there, but everything is same, right?
okay,
Um, it was probably a more blue collar town when I grew up. And then that demographic has changed. So we have a great mix, I think. And I think we've become more diverse, which I love. Um, my father, I mean, I have to tip my hat to him. He was always involved in town politics for as long as I can remember. He was on the planning board, he was a councilman, then became mayor for 20 years. So I always knew how Norwood was progressing and developing because that was our dinner conversation.
okay,
And when we were faced with having to uh, build, right, develop, right, Mount Laurel housing, I remember that. And I remember my dad negotiating during that time and making sure he was preserving the character of the town by not overdeveloping it. And he took a lot on the chin for that back then because we were a small town and all of a sudden we're talking about apartments and how are we going to sustain that and how many do we have to have. So he really, really set the foundation for what this town would look like moving forward and did the development very responsibly or as responsibly as he could with the court's approvals. He was able to broker a deal with Patterson. They needed more units than we did. It was complicated, but it also wasn't. And he chose to develop it, the town develop it, rather than have, some developers did, others, the town did it. So he did it in a creative way that I think preserved the charm of this town. And I believe people that live here now would agree with that because we've kept development, or at that time, um, to a responsible, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but a responsible development. So
Okay.
now how I see it changing is we just seem too fast and loose. The specifically, again, I'll refer back to the Bank of America site. That is, in our master plan, that is zoned a commercial property. When we start changing use variances to accommodate development, we are setting a dangerous precedent. And again, that is also why I got involved and why I want to run, because we don't want to go against our master plan. We don't want to change use variances because it's a slippery slope. What then stops anybody else from saying, "Hey, I want to knock down my bar and put an apartment building"? And we have all of those factories in Norwood off of Broadway. What's to say, we won't start putting apartment buildings back there? We have to be very careful that we preserve what we have. Now, with that said, I'm for responsible development. We have to have it. It's not going away, but it needs to be done responsibly.
Okay. Uh, well, I think for the next question, you may have answered this already, but okay, we'll say aside from what you just covered, what if any are the biggest issues as you see facing Norwood at present?
Obviously, I did the development, right? So
Right.
we need to look at that responsibly. I also think that the budget process needs to be opened up a little bit, or a lot, and really, we rely on the CFO of the company to do that. Again, these are things that when the town is humming and running, you kind of say, well, I don't really have to look at that because if we're keeping taxes stable, if we're doing, and I don't agree with that. I think we need to be more transparent. I think we need fresh eyes on things. Think we need to go line by line. Um, Maybe look at where our CapEx and our OpEx is and maybe change some of that, maybe move some funds. I think we can be a little bit uh, better at the budget process than we are right now. Um, I also think we need a much, much better way to communicate with the residents. I think that complacency has set in with this current administration, and they don't feel the need to be transparent and communicate with the residents. We're very busy, all of us, myself included, and we kind of take for granted that these folks are working in our best interest. It may be if more people knew what was going on or when these meetings were, or our website needs an overhaul. All of these things are things I would like to look at. I'd like to use the reverse 911 system to tell people, hey, there's a senior picnic today. I go back to looking at my mother at 88, who's living at home, thankfully, alone. She's not tech savvy. She doesn't know that there was if it wasn't for me saying, "Hey, there's a senior picnic," she would have no idea. And there's a big population of residents that have no idea what's going on, and we need to be better at communicating with them. And that goes for the young and old. It's not just a senior issue. You, Paul, as a young father, who has young children, and a young father. You're busy, right? Like you're busy with work. You're not keeping up on like Norwood's Facebook page. So, how do we better communicate what's going on with our residents? We need to figure that out.
Okay. Okay. And I think you've already hit this one too. I was going to ask you what you consider to be the top three issues for the borough and what you would propose in order to address them, but you're ahead of me.
Yeah, see, Paul, once I start talking, I don't stop.
All right, all right. You're on it. Let's skip to the next one. Name one thing you would like to see the borough of Norwood put more taxpayer money towards.
Oh, I would love to see us put more taxpayer money towards quality of life, things for our residents, the seniors, our young folks. I feel like going back to your other question, like how Norwood has changed. Um, I feel like we are such a unique community. We're one of the smaller towns in the Northern Valley and really in Bergen County. And I love that about us. And I feel like we could do a far better job at bringing us all together, whether it's through the Environmental Commission, which, by the way, is great. And they do such great events that I didn't know about because I didn't see them. And now that I've taken on this role and I've gotten more involved, I'm like, I told my niece, who you know, you should come down, bring the kids. I mean, these are all great programs. So I'd love to see more of our money go to those kinds of things because we're so much better together than we are divided. So and I think that community spirit really reshapes how we behave, whether it's at the school, on the fields, even our library. I'm such a fan of our library and all the programs that they do. It's fantastic. It really is.
Excellent. Partial bonus question, since you already had jumped ahead of me on some of those. What would you like to see less taxpayer money put towards, if anything, in Norwood?
Well, this one is a tough one, and I might catch a little flack for it, so I apologize. But one of the budget items that made my eyes pop was the Livingston Street budget. There's an awful lot of money earmarked there, and it does look beautiful with the flowers. Um, I'm not saying we should change that, but there is a lot of money going in there. Now, I don't know if we're using it all because when I was looking at the budget and reviewing it, it was kind of mid-year, so I don't know like if we use all of that amount or they just put that in because as you know with budgets, once you take something out, it's very hard to put back in. So we have to be careful with how we manage our money or take things out and put things in. But there's an awful lot of money going over there, and I'm not sure what it's being spent on because it's not flowers. So.
Okay, okay. Starting with some of the local people questions here, other than myself. There's some concern among local parents as to the lack of useful sidewalk on the school side of Tappan Road for the children who walk home in that direction every day. Whether you consider this a county council or board question, what do you think could be done to most effectively see more sidewalk and or safety measures put in there?
I love that question, and I agree with that because I think that's been an issue for a long time. And I think I do think it's the trifecta. I think it is a county, a town, and a board thing. And I think it's something that
Be a
the
great
board,
law school hypothetical given the different jurisdictions in that
yeah, I
regard.
mean, I think, if the board and the town got together, right, to then kind of go to the county or look at grants. I mean, that's another thing that we really should put a lot of time and effort in is this grant writing, which Annie Hausman has done a tremendous job. Kudos to her because that program really, Norwood was sleeping on that one. Um, and through her efforts, we have the pickleball courts and the playground. That's all her. Um, so, and her bringing it to the council and it being approved, but getting that money. So, if we can look at getting grants to have that kind of infrastructure improvement, that's what we should be doing. So that the taxpayers aren't absorbing that. The county to some degree wouldn't be, and we can get that done. But that is definitely something that needs to be looked at. Having kids that are no longer there. This has been an issue since my kids were there 20, 15 years ago. Um, I was running around like a chicken without a head trying to get speed bumps on Summit Street because I was so concerned with the speeding down the street. So there's a lot that we can look at and specific to that, I'd like to see us get grants written to get those done. And if not, then we go to the county and I can't imagine any kind of safety study done there that they would not approve sidewalks. I mean, we need them. It's these kids are not walking. There's none there. There's rocks right now. There's little, to keep the cars from driving into the field.
Sometimes
So,
I might add.
yeah, yeah.
Good. All right, another one from the good citizens of Norwood. With the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence coming up next year, what would you like to see the borough do as part of its commemoration?
Well, again, going back to my old age, I remember the bicentennial from 1975.
Oh,
And I actually think if I look hard enough, I can probably find the book that Norwood put out. We published a book. So I would love to see something like Norwood Day to come together as a community to celebrate that, to celebrate our country. There's no matter where you are on the political spectrum, there's nothing like this country, and I am so proud to be an American. And I think we need to celebrate our democracy and hold it dear. And I think coming together as a community and all of us celebrating as one kind of perpetuates that message. So, a town day, um, bands, maybe a parade, maybe that book. I mean, it was great. It had pictures from, Norwood from back in the 1800s, and how far it's come. So,
I have some version of that from somebody I interviewed for the historical part of this interview series. I would lean back and grab it, but that kind of diverts from the discussion here. But I'd love to find a way to scan that so I could share it because I think, to
yeah,
your point, it's a number
I'm
of years ago. I think this might be the Norwood 90th or something like that it's from, and it has all sorts of good stuff in it.
Yeah,
Um,
listen, I'll do the same because I am pretty sure in my mind's eye I know where ours is. My
okay.
family still has it, so I'll look for that. But I mean, I think that's a great way to celebrate. I think it's wonderful to recognize the country, but also the town, right? Like we're old. We're an old town. So
Yes, and well, I come from a Quaker town on Long Island, so that goes back a little further. But yeah, this one versus some others is definitely on
yeah,
the older
yeah. I
side.
mean, I remember where I live, where my house is, it was a field. I remember the cornfields. I mean, this is all a discussion for probably a different chat with you, but I mean, I could tell you a lot of stories about actually where the Northwoods was. We called it Brysockers. It was a farm. And we used to all
Okay.
ride our motorcycles back there. I had a little dirt bike, a Honda XR80 that I used to take back there and we used to ride and there was a lot of things going on in Norwood back then. Fun things.
DeBiasa, a candidate and motorcyclist. Okay.
I had a Harley too, Paul.
I
That's a
bet.
little known fact that people do not know about me. And my mother said to me, "You should be pushing a baby carriage down the street, not a motorcycle," because before I had kids and I did sell it when I had children.
Okay, okay. Yeah, getting back on target.
Sorry, sorry.
I don't mind, but let's see. Another one sort of related to the others. But if you could unilaterally change one Norwood ordinance with the stroke of a pen, what would it be and why?
Um, I mean, honestly, the one that comes to mind, and this is kind of silly, is the garage sale one. I don't think people should have to pay for a permit to have a garage sale. I know that's little, but that's the one that came to my mind first. Um, it
Okay,
just, it just seems silly to me.
okay, okay. You do see those, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just, I mean, again, I go back to a time where you wanted to sell something out of your garage, you sell it. I don't know why you need a permit to do that, but
Okay, okay.
it's small. I mean, it's a small one, but yeah, look, this is quality of life stuff, right?
Small town, so it makes
Yeah.
sense. Where do you see Norwood 5 years from now and why?
Well, when I'm on the council, I think that we'll have a much more transparent government body. I think that we will have controlled development. I think there will be development. I think it'll be sensible. I'm hoping that we are going to come to a affordable housing decision that fits the town and that the residents can be satisfied with. I'll almost say proud of because I think that's an important that will be an important part of what this town looks like moving forward. Um, I think it's a place that people are going to want to continue to live in and move to. I am proud of this town, regardless of who is running it. I think it's obviously I'm proud of it. I'm running for a reason, and I've lived here all my life. And I truly, I always said my father had three loves, right? Like he had the farm, the town, and our family. And I kind of feel that way about it. I love this town like I love my family, and that's the truth. That's really how I feel about it. And that's why I'm running because I care so much about it.
Excellent, excellent. Now, going back to some of the townspeople questions, what, if anything, is your opinion as to the current ongoing reassessment of all properties within the borough?
So that's unfortunately, that is one of the evils of of taxation. I've lived through a few of them. In fact, I think there was one when I built my house, which was 25 years ago. Um, it's a necessary evil.
Okay,
Uh, there's not much you can do to get around that. It just it's part and parcel. And hopefully it will be done fairly, and hopefully it's not going to affect us too much. Hopefully we're all paying our fair share. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. If you're assessed accurately, it really shouldn't hurt too many people. I mean, listen, there's going to be people that are going to pay more. I doubt there's going to be people that are going to pay less. Maybe. I'm hoping that we all kind of sit somewhere in the middle of that.
okay. And I'm not sure if this, I don't think the horse has been beaten to death at this angle yet, so we'll try this question from the town too.
Okay.
What do you believe can or should be done, if anything, to keep the town as close to what it presently is in look and feel, given the recent affordable housing matter? And you
Okay.
could say we already did this if that's your answer. Otherwise,
Yeah, I mean
expand.
it is, and I'll add that we have a master plan for a reason. And we have to respect that master plan. You don't do it so you change it, right? Like you do it for a reason. It's put in place so that we manage development and we keep the town's character and charm. So with that said, there are ways I believe that we can look at this, and I know they'll beat, there's certain people that will beat their chest, and they'll say, this is court ordered and these are the numbers, and that's all true. That's all true. But I think there are creative ways that we can do this. And I think one of them is using a nonprofit or us developing the land ourselves rather than a developer. Just for argument's sake, let's say the Bank of America site wasn't a developer and we put affordable units there.
Okay,
That's
okay.
37 units that go towards that number. Now, we're, a developer's not going to do that because they're not going to make money, right? But if the town bought that property and did that, well, then we're meeting our number. So I think we have to look or close to that number. We need to look at this creatively. We need to we should not be afraid of the courts. We should not be afraid of going to court over it. Um, we can fight back and beat it back where we can. I mean, you can't make land appear, right? So the state has to kind of give us some concessions too. Um, we have to fight. It's an uphill battle, but it's one I'm willing to take on. And I think and again, I will say everybody has the right to live comfortably. And when we talk about affordable housing, let's not make it a stigma. Let's not make it a boogeyman. Come on. The income levels for these to qualify, they're high. So I think everybody deserves a comfortable roof over their head, and if we can provide that as a town, we should
Okay.
responsibly.
All right, let's change topics just a little bit, some lighter things here.
Right.
Um, Televised cornhole competitions. Why? Explain to me why this is a thing.
Because why shouldn't it be a thing? With everything on TV, if you can watch a little cornhole, I say go for it. And if you can make a drinking game out of it, even better. So,
Excellent. Okay. How about this one? With Halloween about a month and a week around the corner, and you haven't grown up in Norwood, in fact, what is the strangest item that you ever received in your trick or treat basket on in Halloween growing up?
oh my God. This is true. I didn't take it. Somebody did offer me a kitten. An elderly woman did
That's
offer me a
that's
kitten.
fascinating. Okay,
Yes.
I
And I
never heard that
said,
one. Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, I really want it. And I ran home and I was like, I can't remember the woman's name. But I was like, Mrs. So and so wants it. And she was like, No, you're not getting a kitten for trick or treat. So that was, I didn't take it, but that was offered to me. Um, other than that, back in the day, it was, we got a lot of fruit.
Fruit. Okay. Okay.
Fruit. Yeah. We didn't like the houses that gave us fruit. which is why I give full size bars out. So
No.
500 State Street if you want a full size treat.
Ah, excellent. Uh, what is more or less disappointing to receive? Staying on this theme, Smarties or Mounds?
Oh, oh, I like them both, Paul.
You like
Um,
them both.
I
Okay.
do. I like them both. I would say probably the Smarties because who doesn't love chocolate, even though it's got coconut?
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to give you one of a classic remix of one of my Norwood questions. If you can move one Northvale pizza place into Norwood to compete with Mario's and Cousins for Norwood's affections, would you pick Three Boys, Dante's, Casa Formosa, or Petrillo's?
That's so unfair. First of all, I love our pizza places. And second of all, I absolutely love all those places you just mentioned.
Okay.
So I can't, I mean, I have to tell you though, I don't know because Three Boys, you've got the gas and then you've got the coal fired. So maybe that because we don't have that in Norwood.
Okay. I will tell
But
you.
I'm staying true to Cousins and Mario's because I split my affections equally.
Okay. I will tell you in previous I Am Norwood interviews, some people who grew up here did have express a preference for Three Boys if they went outside of Norwood. So
Yeah, I mean,
it was a fair
I
answer.
could lean that way, but I love Dean from like it's hard for me. But I have to tell you, as a original Norwoodian, where Mario's was John's Pizza. This is going back to into the 70s.
Okay.
That was the best pizza. John's. Oh my God, it was like Bleecker Street.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
really good. I know somebody told me he's still around, John, the original John. I don't know where, but somebody had mentioned that they had seen him. I think it might have been my aunt. Somebody had said that he's around, maybe in Florida. I don't know, but we had
Okay.
that and we had Chicken Delight, and that was quite. Oh, look at I have balloons. We had Chicken
Oh,
Delight. I don't know where
yeah.
those balloons came from,
That's
but
interesting. This
so
is a no budget operation. I'm not sure how
that's
that
it.
just happened.
Listen,
Okay.
we're celebrating pizza. My
Yes,
favorite
indeed.
food.
Um, okay, one more light one, and then I'm going to give you the floor to close
Okay.
out here. Name one article or brand of clothing from your youth that you'd like to see make a comeback.
Oh, easy. OP corduroy shorts. Man, do I
OP,
want that.
Ocean
Yes.
Pacific? Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. That's an easy one. I keep looking every year. I swear. I Google to try to find them.
That's a different brand than Jams, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. That Jams was a little after that. Those were like
Okay.
the Hawaiian floral long. Yeah, but I wore those too. Oh gosh.
All those are sort of bunched up in my elementary school memory, and I'm not sure which year until you get to sixth, which was Skids and Cavaricis. But
Yeah. Oh, I was my Cavaricis, I had a closet full. Those were my days when I was going out with my cousin Tara to clubs
okay,
too.
okay.
Very my that was my Guidette big hair years. So
Excellent.
yeah.
I just had big hair years around the same time because I didn't control my haircuts as much as I would have liked to at that age. All right, closing or almost closing. Anything you'd like to get out there that maybe I did not expressly ask about today?
No, Paul, I think you did a really great job, and I appreciate the time, really. The only thing I would say in closing is for those folks that don't know me, know that my heart is in the right place, and I'm doing this for all the right reasons. I'm not looking to be combative or not work with the current administration. I am not looking to be a disruptor. I'm looking to be a team player with fresh eyes, new perspective, bring some transparency, bring some accountability. Um, and I would, and I say this honestly and meaningfully when I say I am honored by the folks that have shown support to me already, and certainly, for those people that maybe haven't decided and will cast a ballot for me. I know how important those votes are and what it means to put your trust in somebody and your faith. And I think if somebody were to describe me or in one or two words, they would say that I'm devoted, or three. I'll give you three. I'm loyal, and I really have a lot of integrity. And that is something that I learned from not only my father, but my mother. And it's a legacy that not only me, that my sisters have carried forward, who both also live in the town and raise their kids here. Um, you know, we just have lived our life that way, and that is the direct impact of my parents and what they stood for, and really the Derrick family as a larger kind of group. Um, you know, it's instilled in us, and that doesn't go away, and nobody can tamp that out. So that's what I bring, and like I said, I'm honored. I am honored with each and every person that supports me and puts their faith in me, and I will don't take that lightly. And when I'm elected, I will not take this responsibility lightly.
Okay, now that dovetails nicely. I need you to do one more thing.
Okay.
Look at the camera, state your name, and then state, and I am Norwood.
Okay. Suzanne DeBiasa, I am Norwood.
All right, thanks for coming on. So I hope you enjoy the rest of campaign season, and we'll wish everybody a good day now.
Thanks, Paul. I appreciate your time very much. And again, Happy New Year. Thanks for taking the time out to do this with me.
Thank you.